It's the Rangers Journal Night.
Evening everybody and welcome to the Thursday Club. I'm your host Scott Mackay. We're here tonight to do a wee Q&A. I'm delighted to be joined by an esteemed lineup tonight. First of all, I've got Davey for the Not Another Rangers podcast. Davey, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing good, mate. How's yourself?
Absolutely fine. I should have just asked you to take that intro in, man. Your intros are the best going just now.
Aye, mate, it seems to be my thing. I'm struggling for a theme for the morning night, but I've already started my whole firm one, so hopefully that'll be a good one a week on Friday.
Well, it's good to have you on, mate. Ryan, your first pod tonight. How you doing, pal?
Good, mate. Thanks for having us, lads.
No, no bother at all. No bother at all. And then I don't need to introduce the man underneath me. It's Mitch. Mitch, how you doing, pal?
All the better for seeing you boys, Coopens.
Aye, good stuff. Good stuff. Right, so Q&A night does exactly as it says in the tin. We'll just get right in it. First question is for Paul in the comments. And Davey's asking, when did you know the Rangers was a club for you? When was the first time that you seen that you thought, I am supporting him?
Well, I'm going to take you back to 1989 when I was 3 years old and my dad took me to my first game, which I think was Rangers against Dumbarton. And it was a cup game. I can't remember if it was the All-League or Skull Cup at the time or if it was in the Scottish. Might have been in the Scottish, but obviously Davy Cooper was my first hero that I can remember, and that's who I was named after. So I'd have to take it back to then. Obviously, as well, Davy Cooper, at the time when he had just finished with Motherwell and went back to Clydebank, he was doing this programme for STV at the time alongside Charlie Nicholas, and it was like a kind of skills programme. So, I mean, you don't get that type of content in this day and age, but my early recollections, Rangers are certainly synonymous with Davy Cooper, Ali McCoy, Steen Gerrant, Andy Gorham. From the age of 3, my dad started taking me part-time, and then when I was 5-year-old, we were there every week right up until into my 30s. So I would have to go as far back as that, Scotty.
Aye, sounds fair. I can't even remember, if I'm being honest with you. Hold on a minute, I just need to take care of something in the comments. That's that good. Aye. Back to what I was saying, I can't even remember the first time that I realised I was a Rangers supporter, to be honest with you. I think it was about 4 or 5, and I used to remember sitting watching the games with my granda on a Sunday. Ryan, what about you, mate?
Look, mate, you're born in there, aren't you? I suppose my dad supported, so I mean, I think that's the way it should be. So that's my dog.
Can we try, please?
Sure, Rangers supporter. Aye, so I've been a Rangers supporter my whole puff. Aye, for get-go. Rangers baby grows and all that. So I think my first ever Rangers game was a Old Firm reserve game, mind you. You like seeing Gerrant, Alan McCoy snap playing, but I don't really remember that.
Aye. Oh well, fair enough. Mitch, what about you, pal?
Very much the same, mate. Born into it, both sides of the family, very, very heavily Rangers focused, shall we say. I mind going to my first game. I think I was only maybe much like yourselves, probably about 3-year-old, going to go to my first game, 1993. We had Kelly at home. I think we humped them about 3 or 4 now. And it's, as you say, it's that feeling that you get when you're a wee guy at Ibrox and you feel the place jumping and bouncing. You're like, that's the sort of thing that, it's that gives you that adrenaline in the soul there, the arms and the arms and the hairs in your arms and all that standing up, and you can feel it, that way. Like, there's no place like home, as they say.
Aye, I know what you mean. I think my first match was a Rangers Leeds United friendly at Ibrox. I think I was about 10 or something. The first game I took to. Lee Bowyer scored a penalty and sort of a lads equalised in the second half, I think it was. Right, Owen, I'm aware you're in the comments, mate, but I'm also aware somebody's hacked your account, so I had to ban it, I'm afraid. It's nothing against you, pal, but I'm not wanting anybody coming in and filtering through chat tonight. Right, so first question is probably a belter in terms of a transfer market just now. Davey, I've told you my answer to this, but what's your answer in terms of what's the best deadline day signing?
So I'm going to come left field with this one, and I'm going to take it back to Walter Smith, because I class deadline day signings from when the transfer window was in place, and it was all covered on Sky Sports News. For the sheer shithousery of this signing, I would have to say El Hadj Diouf because it annoyed your rivals. And sometimes I think in Glasgow, you have to do a wee bit of that to get into the mentality and the psyche of your opposition. You know, he spent most of his Rangers career on the bench or coming on as a sub. But every time he appeared against them, it got their backs up. And I think that was a great psychological signing for Walter Smith. He scored a great goal for us away in Portugal, I believe. And I think Morris Edu got a late equaliser in the same game. Might have been Lisbon, if I remember rightly. Obviously, the cup final, and I think it's easy Gary for them, takes him down in the halfway line when he's running clean through and goal, gets sent off. We win the cup final 2-1 after extra time. So we won a league title when he came in. We won a cup double when he came in. So I'd have to say it's a successful signing on that basis, and it's one I remember fondly.
Fair enough, mate. Ryan, what about you?
That's funny. Me and my cousin were talking about it just signing because we didn't have really any money, didn't we? So it was more of a bring some down and kind of get fans up in it. Mine is Barry Ferguson when we brought Barry back. He's my favourite Rangers player ever. Yeah, that was my favourite, 100%.
I remember that and all. That was because I think the other mob signed Craig Bellamy in the same day.
Bellamy, same window, aye.
We've not had a transfer deadline day like that since, I don't think. Ferguson coming back was box office at the time, man. He was everybody's hero. But when he came back, I mind he came on against Dundee United. It was a League Cup semi-final. We scored them like 7-1 or 7-2. And I mind reading the paper the next morning, and Fergie was saying that he got a text message from all the boys down at Blackburn saying it was a cakewalk now up here. Should have stayed where he was. No, Mitch, what about you? You getting anybody that stands out?
Going to go a slightly more obscure, but we'll stick to the modern era. Sasa Papic. But then, to be fair though, Scotty knows I've got a thing for a good left back. I like a good left back, one that bombs up and down, takes no nonsense, takes no prisoners. And I still feel like even all these years later, we've still not ever had a proper Papic replacement. But that's just because I like a sicko in the back line though.
Aye, I know, that's fair. Can't say Papic's a bad player. We've got no other questions to get in now, but we'll just kind of give round the room on a transfer one day and how we're all feeling on it. Davey, where you at with Rangers just now?
Kind of hoping, Scotty, for some action to happen. I think we need it. We need to take into account the fact that their squad could be potentially weaker going in. So the board have to take a gamble, I feel. And it might just be on one or two players, but they one or two players could be in key positions that make all the difference. If we win this weekend, which I fully expect us to do so, you then build up a wee bit of momentum. They'll be rocked by losing their best player, which I anticipate will happen. So we have to make strides to, make us stronger going into that game. We've been linked with every name under the sun in the last 2 days, it seems. However, what I think is key is we seem to be linked with players in the right positions, forward positions, attacking positions, wide positions. That's where we really need to beef up. But again, Clement was quite honest last week when he said we need guys to move out before they do. So hopefully the domino effect will start happening soon. As we've seen, we've carried guys in the squad in terms of their wages that have been too top heavy, and we really need to release them and sort of start a new ethos of the club, buying sensible, buying young, and looking to turn that into hefty profit for us going forward.
Aye, definitely. I just feel as if we need to get some proven quality in, but don't we? It's just, that's a bit that's kind of, there's a wee bit worrying just now. Ryan, where you at on Rangers just now, mate?
I don't think we're strong enough at the moment. I don't see really any transfer signs, are probably my loan signings. As you say, our experience, I would rather be signing players 27 upwards, like guys that have been on the block a wee bit. We need a bit. We've got good energy in the middle of the park and good areas. So I think we just need a couple of experienced heads, but some guys that have played at a good level, maybe at internationals and all. Because Sherney, we managed to get him, haven't we? And he's looked good to start with.
I don't think Kenny McLean rumour's finished. Do you know what? I've just got a feeling he's going to be one that comes in and fills that void. Somebody's popped in with a question for you about a dog, mate. What kind of dog is it you've got? Does it support Rangers?
It's a Beagle. The Beagle I've got, they're absolute nightmare, man. Oh, it drives me nuts, honestly.
Well, soon enough, I like the questions. I don't know if we hear the howling in the background.
I had to mute it and shout noises again there. Get a hold of it.
Right, Mitch, where you at with Rangers now?
I'm mixed at the moment. I wouldn't say I'm doom and gloom, but I also wouldn't say I'm ready to go and get the Mancini out and run down the street or anything like that, like give the neighbours a real fright. But I think we've had a quality enough window in terms of, let's look at the players that we've not seen who have come in yet. We've not properly seen the Salah yet. We've still not properly seen Igamani yet, and we've seen the clips, we've seen the highlights. You know, I'm a bit more of a believer, and I'd rather deal with what my two eyes see when they're on the park. And right now, we've not seen them yet. I think Enciala is going to be a player that comes out for much this season. Probably not. I think he'll probably end up going out on loan maybe from January onwards. Get him some proper game time, even at the Championship, bottom end of the SPL. But we've bought well for the next 2-3 years going forward, and that's where the model obviously kicks in. I still think within the team, I don't think we're as far away as we think we are. I think the problem that we've had as a fan base, and it's been really maybe some sort of PTSD for the last 18 months, is it's this cycle of manager, player, and we just get, there's half the fan base seem to think that every player with two legs that we've got on the park are a ton of mints, but they're actually not. And you know, and as soon as there's a rumour about somebody's interested in somebody, let's sell them for 2p in a ginger bottle, you know what I mean? Actually, that player is worth more money than what we think, and they're probably better than what we think. I still think probably two probably key players short for me, I think, just now. One in midfield and probably one up top. I think in the back line, I don't see maybe somebody like Ben Davis leaving, for example. And I think that's more of a, this time next year, he's much more attractive to a Championship team where he's got 1 year left in his contract. Come in, grab him 2-3 million quid or buy out his contract for what's left, rather than a player that's nearly the wrong side of 30, on quite a lot of money, with 2 years left in his deal. I think it's kind of difficult at the moment, but I think probably one more centre midfielder. And again, I think that's just to, you know yourself, I love a bit of rotation in there with my 45 game maximum peak performance. I think we need one more in there to allow that to happen over the course of a 60 game season.
What other positions do you want to see getting strengthened, Mitch?
I still think we're a winger short on the left. And I think that's just, for me, it's just the question marks that sit over Scott Wright at the moment. Scott Wright, and we know that Cortez, I would really love to be proven wrong, but Cortez, so far, based on the small sample that we've got, can't string any more than 5-6 games together at the moment. And that's, I think I'd like to hope, touch wood, he's just been really, really unlucky with injuries, and he's maybe now had his 2 big injuries. That's him, he'll be on his way now. But we know that we can't trust Rabi for long courses of the season, and if an offer comes in, he's probably got to go. And if Rabi goes, then there's no pace down that left-hand side for me. Yefty's still too young, too raw. So I don't want to use a terrible phrase here, but he still needs an adult in there to learn under. He needs somebody that's been in the trenches, as you guys said earlier, 27 plus, seen a couple of battles, wee bit of battle scars, and knows his way about a football pitch, but can help him grow over the next 18 months or so. And then before we know it, we might have a £5-6 million player in our hands that we've picked up for under £1 million.
Aye. Davey, where you are on the Matondo stories just now? Like, is that a case of taking what you can get from, or is he one of the ones that you would? My top 4 to go are like Hadji, Cantwell, Kieran Dibble, and Ben Davies probably would be my next lot to go. I think the wing areas, like Mitch is saying, we're still really, really short. Where you at on Matondo?
I mean, I don't disagree with the 4 that you mentioned. I would have to go along with that and say they're my top 4. However, we have to look at what Matondo offers us, and on a consistent basis, when he's been given the chance, he never really delivers. He has the odd flashy moment, and we'd like to see it on a more consistent basis. You look at the pitch at Hampden, that should suit him, but it's his decision-making that lets him down. I think he was comfortable in the game last weekend. However, when he either decides to go on the outside or come inside. It's like he's caught in two minds with what to do. And at Rangers, we need that player that's making his mind up before he's even got into the position. And unfortunately, I don't think Rabbi Matondo is that guy. If we get a relatively favourable offer, and £1 million upwards, considering what his reported weekly wage is, I think we have to do business. But like Mitch says as well, it is a part of the squad that we need to strengthen. I know we've been linked with, is it Brekalo, or excuse my pronunciation if I've absolutely butchered that. We do need maybe 1-2 positions in the wide. However, the one position that I think's not been mentioned that I would like to see us strengthen is centre back. And the reason I say that is I would like to see us have a physical commanding centre back. To me, we're loaded with ball players, and we've not got a Marvin Andrews type, a Majid Bagheera type that would just attack ball and man. And I think that type of centre half would complement the others that we've got. And the reason that we look so weak at the back is because all our players are too samey, and teams target us the same way down the sides and at set pieces, and that's where we're susceptible. So I would like to see centre half strengthened as a priority for me before the window shuts.
Davey, drink right backs. I think right back could be potentially my main problem in over. I don't want to get into a Tav bash, and I don't want to sit and talk about Tav for the next 45 minutes, right? But clubs are starting to target him now, aren't they?
Well, clubs were targeting him last year. If you look at the Ross County game, the 3 goals that we lost all started down his side, unfortunately. And I know he had a bit of an injury in pre-season and he was looking to get over that. But see, when you're struggling to play 4 5-yard passes inside or down the line, that's when you know the game is coming up. And his physical attributes over the last 3 years have totally declined. And the problem with his position is the fact that Dujon Sterling, who's ready to be there, struggles with reliability himself. It seems that one game he's fit and then he misses 2, then he's back in for 2 and misses 3. The same problem that Ridvan has. So we don't really have a viable option there if Tav was either to be sold or is decided, to be on the bench. I don't think Adam Devine, for what we saw his spell at Motherwell, when he struggled to keep Stephen O'Donnell at the team long term, he started to get 4 or 5 games, but he couldn't nail down a place at Motherwell. And if you can't nail down a place at Motherwell, then you've absolutely zero chance of nailing down a place at Rangers.
Aye, I know, mate. I know. Ryan, where you at on Tav and Matondo, and what would you like to see kind of coming out of the rest of this transfer window?
I like Matondo in flashes, but I think one of the comments there was, is he more of a sub, and I would agree, he is more of a sub. But Davy's saying he's got obviously reported high wages, so you can't really have high wage bills on the bench. I'm a big lover of Tav, but he's still leaking a lot of goals for his side, and he's not producing the other end now, which made up for it. If you know what I mean? It's made up for the mistakes at the back, because he'd go and win you games and win you cup finals, but he's not really doing that as much anyway. And we were talking about Davy. My pet peeve with Tav is he can't use his left foot. Can't use like professional foot player facing his own goal, and he's got to hit outside his boot with his right rather than left foot. I'm going nuts at the telly, honestly. Professional foot player can't use both feet.
Well, that's how the Maida goal happened last season.
No.
Because he chose not to use his wrong foot. So that's a perfect example.
Aye, definitely. But we were talking about obviously getting rid of the old guard, and he's the survivor, but he's the captain. Do you know what I mean? So you don't know what the real leadership skills are behind the scenes, but he's been a captain for every man that's come in as well. So you don't know.
Do you think that if he does stay, he's probably one of the leadership group I wanted to stay, Ryan, because his contribution going forward. But now, when I see him, I just see somebody that's slow. I don't know. I doubt it's an attitude thing. I think it's like it's his whole body. It's his whole body language. I
think what we're physically seeing. I think what we're seeing, and again, sports science kind of coming into it. We've seen a guy that the mind is willing, but the body is not able anymore. The mind knows what it used to do 2 or 3 seasons ago, and the father time and being overplayed for 50, 60 games a season, including all the overtimes, all the injury times, the cup final runs, that the legs are screaming at the moment. And I know that Phil said it himself at the start of pre-season, no player will be playing, over 50 games a season, because that's not healthy. And that's how we end up with players that are, essentially by the time they're 25, they're made of rubber chickens at that point. But I think when it comes to the right back situation, I think we have to. There's probably a bit of acceptance with it that this is probably its testimonial year. If potentially we get to January, maybe March time, Tav might have a chat with himself about, is it time that we finish up the season? Do we put the boots into the locker room for the final time? And I'm not suggesting that I want him to retire or anything like that, personally speaking, but he has to ask himself, is this the season that helps to usher in, for example, Sterling, to be the natural successor? Where you say, do you know what, the big European nights, so say, we're in a quarter final, for example, I would probably go with Tab's experience on that right-hand side, but probably only for a half. Put him in for the first half, steady the ship, calm the nerves down, bring Sterling back on for the second half to take the wheel thereafter. We know that on the park there's plenty of leaders. We've got a Suter out there, we've got a Butland out there, we've got Dessers out there. Scotty, don't you dare smirk when I say his name there. But we've got plenty of senior players out there. But I think we're in this kind of, in a period of transition, you can't completely chuck everybody out. And at that point, you've kind of got to say, somebody from the old guard like Tav probably needs to stay for the season just to usher things through. But come next summer, should he still be here? My answer from that, and again, it's not a Tav bashing, but I think 10 years at the club when you've made the position yourself, ride off in the sunset on a high before you stay too long and you start to sour your legacy.
Right. See, in terms of captaincy, but Mitch, does he get to keep the captaincy?
There's ways and means about that. I think, when he's playing, you give him the armband. When he's not playing, he's the club captain. When the games that he isn't playing, you put that on, for example, Jack Butland. I think, let's be honest, Jack Butland's probably more than ready to, really ready to step up there and take the band anyway. I think you still have to give him his place and the respect that comes with the legacy of being with the club for 9 years and the success that has came with that. And I think that's a bit of it's a loaded question in that respect. But I think the games that he plays, he needs to wear the armband out of respect for where he is and who he is. But how long that armband should be there, we'll leave that as a question mark, because as you say, we're not getting into nitty gritties about particulars, because as we all know, people get like vultures and comments and people get upset either way.
I don't want to bash him, because overall he's been a good player for Rangers. I just think if, when Clement says last season we're at the end of a cycle, then you should start a new cycle or a new era with something fresh. And if that's Jack Butland, it's Jack Butland. I don't agree with goalkeepers as captains, but I think a fresh approach is needed at the club.
But then, see, the thing with that is, I think when it comes to the whole captaincy, right, every player in the park knows what their job is. Their job is to go out and win the game of football. Like, to me, whoever has the armband on is, in today's world of football, is essentially just the person that can go and speak to the referee and do a bit of barking from behind the scenes and behind the lines. To me, whoever's wearing the armband is, I'm not going to say completely irrelevant, but I think the way that the modern game's going, essentially you're just the team's mouthpiece to the referee now. And everybody else that tries to speak to the referee basically gets told to shut it and go and get your captain to come and speak to the ref. So you probably want somebody with the coolest head, and that probably would be Jack Butland in there.
Aye. That's one that's up for debate. Davey, there was a question that came in for you, mate. It was somebody asking if you would take Steven Gerrard back. For what reason, I don't know. This has come up a bit.
Well, I'm a bit remiss to talk about a manager that's still in a job and it obviously is in no danger at the moment of getting sacked. But what I will say about Steven Gerrard's time at Rangers is he done the sensible thing first, and that was mastering the Old Firm games. He had a terrific record in the fixture, and before he left to go to Aston Villa, he was on a run in the fixture of 7 without defeat, and that's what we have to get back to. If we've got aspirations of winning the league title, then we have to start by getting the record in these fixtures at least minimum 50-50 on the 4 league games, and that is a minimum. Far too often, I know Clermont said at times, oh, we've been close. We really haven't been close because they've been comfortable within the games. We really need to start putting pressure and start winning these fixtures, making them mean something again. And I know we start with the hardest one first by going there. However, defeat and then that run becoming 5 Old Firm games for Clermont without a win. The longer that record goes on, as we've seen with Michael Beale and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst before him, when the league fixtures pile up, it doesn't reflect well on you as a Rangers manager. And if that goes 5, 6, 7 before the end of the season, Clermont's not seeing out that 4-year extension.
Aye, I know what you mean. Do you think Dujon Sterling's durable enough, Davey, for the right back slot?
I would love to think yes, but I'm going to answer the question honestly and say no. He's not proved it. He's got that to prove. I kind of subscribe to the fact that I think he's better centrally, and we maybe don't play the best formation available to the guys that we've got. So what I mean by that is if Dujon Sterling was right centre half of a back 3, then I think he would look terrific because then he could cover for the right back. He can carry the ball and bring it forward. He adds that physicality in the defensive line. You wouldn't be susceptible to the balls in behind, long diagonals, balls over the top. However, Clermont, again, doesn't seem to deviate for his formation. So until possibly the time comes where we have a new manager or Clermont totally rips up the rule book and starts again, I can't see that happening. But to answer the question again, I will reiterate, I don't think Dujon Sterling has the reliability factor for him to be the long-term replacement for James Tavernier.
I think he's slowly morphing into a midfielder anyway, Davey, isn't he?
Definitely. I think his attributes suit that because he's got pace, power, he's dynamic, 4-5 yard sprints, he carries the ball, he gets your team 10, 15 yards higher up the pitch, he doesn't shirk a tackle. What I think he helps for us as well, you've seen that in the 2-1 game December last year at Parkhead. Their midfield didn't gain much territory on us. He shuts up shop well. He covers for the centre halves as well. Like say if John Suter wants to go out and carry the ball, then he slots in easily behind them. So he adds different sort of dynamics to your team. But again, do we use the best formation to get him involved? He probably would suit playing a 6 regularly for us, but Clermont doesn't want to play that way. I think if we go to Parkhead next week, I'd much rather see us play a flat 3, but I think he's going to keep going with Tom Lawrence when he's fit, unfortunately.
Well, that brings us on nicely to our next question. I think personally, if he goes with Tom Lawrence, I don't think we get a good result when we go to Parkhead. Ryan, Wolf's asking, where does Clermont stand if he loses his first Old Firm game?
I think he definitely needs to get Monkey off the back. I would say with Dave, I would definitely agree. I would and yourself, would they play Tom Lawrence in there at Celtic Park? I think we'll get it alive if he plays in there. I think with Diamande Barron, I don't know if I read somewhere that Sterling's injured. I don't know if that's fake news or what, but somebody said they broke wrist or something. No, is that just fake news?
He's Mitch, you want to come in?
He's got a sprained wrist and he was playing back. He played against St Johnstone with the cast on as well. I think most of us just assumed it was the Under Armour that he had on, and we just didn't pay that much attention to it. It's one of them starts off in a WhatsApp rumour chat, and then before you know it, sprouts arms and legs. But aye, on you go there, son.
I definitely think we've got the best chance with those 3 in the middle. The legs. That's what we need, legs at Celtic Park instead of your Lundströms that are just standing off watching Celtic have all the ball. We need to press them aggressively. Anytime we press Celtic aggressively, we get joy. They're not used to it. They're not used to people pressing them, hunting pack. So I think we've got to go for it. Do you know that way? It's Celtic Park. I think you need to go for it. You can see if you can get a go at the early doors. The fans will turn on them. They'll see a couple of stray passes. If you can get a corner early doors, it gets the fans a wee bit nervous. And we need to do that. Their fans are rocking for the very start, and that the players feed off it, I think. And they don't let up. So we need to just try and go match them, I think. definitely just go man for man in Ridley Park and try and match him. Hopefully O'Reilly's not a back time. He's a good player, so I'm hoping. I think he'll be 3 in the middle. I think Tom Lawrence will just get it alive again.
Aye, definitely. To be honest with you, mate, I'm sick of this Callum McGregor theory that we can't get near him, we can't do this, and we make him look like Beckenbauer or something. You know what I mean? It's
The Callum McGregor theory was already disproven the last Old Firm of the season when Nico Raskin kept him in his pocket the whole game. He barely got a look. He barely got a touch in on the ball, and I think that's when we've seen that probably the early signs of the start of the new cycle, where it was the next gen came in and said, "We're not going to let you play the way that you want to play. We're coming and we're taking it off your toes." You know, and again, I'm not going to sit here and start bashing players for the other side or anything because I've got no interest in doing that. I think when it comes to the overall game itself, the first one, I think a lot of the reaction is going to be based on how the club performs in the transfer window over the next 7 days, of how understanding we would be as a fan base, and there is in the event of a loss or even in the event of a draw. I think if there was no more movement in or out and we play with what we have, I think we all probably, if there was a loss, but there was a bit of clear impetus and some of the young boys like we were talking about on Tuesday night were coming in there, you know, then you could understand that and you go, okay, look, these boys are having to go and earn a couple of battle scars and get in the thick of it. But, you know, my question with that would be is, if Todd Cantwell was still here for the start of the Old Firm, do you play him instead of Tom Lawrence, despite the fact that he spent the summer sulking?
Aye, I know, mate. I know. How you doing, Corey? Hope you're well, pal. So, personally, I don't think Clamont's under any. He will get it, and the pressure will grow because he's not got a result against Celtic. But just the way circumstances, considering the job the guy's doing just now, we're not Ibrox. We've not gave him any money to sign any players or this type of stuff. I think it's need to get a guy tools to do the job properly. Mitch, I'll stay with you on this question about Kevin Nisbet. Yes or no?
I'm not even dignifying that with a response. No, like, in all seriousness, like the Kevin Nisbet conundrum, he's a player that knows the league. It would be fairly cheap in comparison to other targets that are out there. If we got to a point where we went, you know what, we just need somebody, we need a bum in the seat that can be striker 3 for the Sunday after Europe, fine, cool. If it happened, I mean, do I expect him to come in here and hit 15, 20 goals a season? Absolutely not. But he's homegrown, meets a quota if it happened, whatever. But personally speaking, I would like him to be like 11th choice. But if it happened, it happened. I do still think my big man up front still needs some help this season, and you know there's still going to be some question marks over how fit Danilo is, but also some questions remain because we've not seen him yet. Where does the gaffer see Igamani playing? Does he see him playing as the 9? Does he see him playing on the wing? Where does he see him fitting into the jigsaw? But yeah, Kevin Nisbet, 11th choice. If it happened, I wouldn't exactly be out there running about the street, but you know, if it happened, fine. But you know, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it if it doesn't.
No, it's a big, massive no for me. Guy's too injury prone to begin with. He's been linked to Aberdeen, but
you need to sign him up then, mate.
he's not going to bring nothing to the table as far as I'm concerned.
No.
Davey, how about you, next one, mate? Could we play Sterling and Diamande with Barron pressing forward?
I don't see it as the regular fix. I think that is a patchwork job. I think we need a 6 for me, that's their natural position. Somebody who's comfortable in the ball and plays forward. I think someone that does have, and I keep harping back to this word, but the physicality as well. I think that's important. Our team lack that in terms of height as well. You see us at set pieces, we look a very small team. So for me, Sterling, again, I think he'll be that utility player, can almost play anywhere, and every team needs to have that. But I don't think he will have a regular position. Barron and Diamande have looked well together at times, but for me, I would like to get Diamande higher up the pitch, involved nearer the opposition's box. I think he can play that killer pass. He's comfortable taking the ball in tight spaces. Doesn't matter how many players are round about him. He'll find a way of moving the ball on. When he's, coming deep in your own half and picking the ball up there, he can't make things happen. That's not his game. We need to try and look to get in and around him and move him further up the pitch as a team, shift as a unit, move the ball from side to side quickly. The deeper he is, I think you'll see the more frustrated he gets as the season goes on. But I do think he's got the right blend in beside him. Barron adds that tenacity that we've lacked for years. Almost a throwback to a Kevin Thompson type player where you can trust him in big games. He'll impose himself. He'll let the opposition know that they're in a game, and that has been lacking in the Rangers midfield for the last 3.5 years.
I think we'll see. So would you... We obviously had the experiment last season when we played Todd and Tom together. Would you put Mo Diamande up top and let Tom slide into that? Basically switch him and Diamande around?
Tom Lawrence?
Aye, worst case, and I'm talking like in case of emergency break glass here, just hear it out for a moment.
If I had to use Tom Lawrence, I would use him on the left-hand side. I trust that my left back would do all the hard yards, and obviously Yilmaz is injured at the minute, so it's probably going to be Yefte that plays there. If you were forced into using Tom Lawrence, I'd probably have Tom Lawrence in the left before Scott Wright. I think Tom Lawrence is better cutting inside on the right-hand side, and if you have the same balance with Czerny on the right-hand side cutting in using his left, I think that adds good shape. But we have to free up Diamande as the central player, almost as an advanced 8, touching a 10, sort of hybrid, moving between the two when you have the ball and then when you don't have the ball. And I think that's what we need. We just need a bit of interchange. For me, we're far too predictable in our shape. Opposition know how to line up. Very rigid, and we're far too open as well, because we're almost defending on the halfway line with your two centre halves on the inside of the D in your own half. And the minute opposition break, we're in trouble because our fullback, on the right-hand side, doesn't have the pace to get back. And obviously, as we've seen with Yefte and Yilmaz, they're much more comfortable travelling forward with the ball rather than recovery runs.
Ryan, where you are in that midfield three, do you think you can bring Sterling in and play maybe Barron and Diamande, or flat three like you said? What do you think?
I would like to see that as a flat three, especially in Celtic Park and European games. I'd probably, and more, you say, bread and butter games, I'd probably push Diamande a wee bit forward, play him in 10. Out of the three, I would like to see a 10 come in and a 6, but if that's the cards we need to play with, I think the three of them are capable enough. For a full season, I'd very much doubt it, but the thing I like about him is the energy. We've lacked the energy in the Rangers midfield for a long time. And you kind of see Diamande's a wee bit smarter than the rest at times. He's always wanting balls that are only getting played and stuff like that. But players are going to, he's only young as well, but players are going to learn from that as well. Do you know what I mean? He's going to make players around him better with asking for them kind of passes and saying, I can take that ball, I can play that pass. So I'm happy with the three. I would be comfortable with it at Celtic Park. And probably away European games. I'd probably push Diamande out on a 10. And more games where we're going to dominate the ball and stuff like that. But I think they're a good three, definitely. But I would like a couple more additions in there just for competition and also the durability for the season, because it's 50-60 games this season.
Do you think Clermont is actually going to do it, but put Sterling on the middle of Parkhead and play Barron and Diamande next to him? Because it's...
No, I think he'll play Tom Lawrence.
In all honesty, you know my thoughts on Sterling in the middle, and I, personally speaking, don't want to see him in the middle. I want him in his actual position as a right back. And then if he has to fill in midfield, have him fill in. He's at the age now where he should be kicking on in his natural position and not being the utility man. And that comes down to obviously the argument previously of the right back position of, is somebody there kind of choking the funnel at that point? But for another season, if he has to be the utility man that bobs around, I would much sooner see him bob around the back line as opposed to bob around in the midfield. And I genuinely think all the bobbing around for Sterling is actually one of the things that's causing him all the tweaks and all the muscle aches and having him missing games, because he keeps having to play different positions, which changes how he has to put his foot in. And, that does have to take a physical toll on the body, where you're having to adjust how you're playing just about game by game to to see which of the soldiers have fallen in the trenches.
But Mitch, he was in his own position to get injured. It's in it first pre-season friendly and then he got injured. He was out.
First pre-season friendly, son. Just put him back in right back. Just leave him where he should be. To be fair, though, I did also, much like David, though, I liked him in at centre-back at, one of the final games of the season against Hearts. I thought he was big, he was commanding, and if we don't sign a centre-back, could he very well find himself a centre-back 3? Where you go, is he the centre-back that slots in the games that Suter needs a rest, or, and I don't say his name too loudly, but Davies needs a rest, or is it going to be where Proper needs a rest? Is he going to be the one that comes in and says, tell you what, our first initial pairings are going to be Proper and Suter, and then pairing 2 will be Balogun and Sterling. Both have got pace, and at Balogun's age now, we can leave him at the back a wee bit, knowing that he's got the recovery runs on him. Then let Sterling be the ball playing centre back that goes further up because he's got the legs to bomb up and down the pitch.
Davey, do you play Sterling ahead of Tav at Parkhead to give him a bit of protection? Personally, I don't think that's something we should need to do.
No.
It depends who we sign in the window, but I certainly wouldn't play him in front of him for protection. I would rather play him before him. I think you need to take the opposition into account, and if you expect them thinking that we're going to line up with James Tavernier at right back, then Dies and Maida will probably play left wing for them. So we have to anticipate that. And Tavernier has had nightmares against him, not just 1 or 2 games. This is a run of 5 or 6 games now where he's struggling physically. He just looks lost. He's shirking out of 50-50s. He's giving him 10, 15 yards, and even that, he's getting exploited. So I think Clement has to box clever over the next week with who he can use, and he might need to dig into the trenches. But if he can get Dujon Sterling up to some sort of fitness, where he can use him for 90 minutes, I think he has to come into his mind to play right back. Because I think if Tavernier's on the team sheet come that game at Parkhead, they'll certainly be up for it and targeting him. And I can't see us changing our shape. So for me, the only thing that we can do at that point is changing personnel. But again, it will depend on, because Ryan made a great point in regards to Tom Lawrence playing there. They're just going to move on top of us far too easily. So if we don't sign a 6, then Dujon Sterling's probably going to play as the 6 there if Clement wants to keep it tight. But then again, Clement's never deviated for his formation. He's always played the 10 or the sort of secondary striker with it being Cantwell or Lawrence up beside Dessers. I think there's big calls for the manager to make, and maybe the team sheet on Saturday will give us a wee sneak preview as to how we're going to look going forward.
Ryan, do you think this Maeda and Tavernier thing is something that's in Tav's head now? And should we be putting Sterling in front of him, or should we just be taking Tav out and putting Sterling in?
I do think Maeda has got Tav's number, and it's going to over the last few Old Firm games. He's not really that great on the ball around, but he's quick, he's strong, he's aggressive as well. He doesn't look it, but he is quite aggressive. And I agree with the boys. I think if you're going to play Sterling, you play him over Tav. I think if you play Sterling, it's just right away you see that, and it's defensive. It's a negative, and it's a negative. I think to say, we need to protect that player. Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't need to protect anybody really, especially a club captain. But I'm a big fan of Tavernier, so I'd love to see him turn it around this season. But I think Clement's got, as you say, box clever with Tav and Sterling.
I'd need to agree, mate. I'd need to agree. Mitch, I'll come to you with this one. What's your thoughts on Lyle Cameron at Dundee?
It's a strange one. Very, very good player for this league, but so untested at the next level. When you look at the European aspect, and when you look at, the games that obviously follow that at the moment, I think, if you were to ask me, I still think we need probably at least one more Scottish player in the team. And again, I think that comes down to obviously Europa League, homegrown player quotas, and fulfilling a full 25. I'm pretty sure we're one short, if memory serves me right. somebody else here that's maybe a bit more educated and a wee bit under-caffeinated compared to myself can tell me. But I do think we are still one homegrown player short to fulfil a full 25. And I think, personally speaking, it's slightly embarrassing to be in that situation, that on a European level we can't fulfil a full European 25 because we've not got enough Scottish players. And you look at a player like Lyle Cameron, you say, do you know what? Again, cup games against obviously SPL, lower, call it bottom 6 teams. Can he come in there and do a job? Absolutely. Does he cost a lot of money? Not really. But then at the same token, is this going to be one of these scenarios though where he comes in and he gets a nice breather for the first season? He plays solid, not spectacular, but then when it comes to the second season and he stays within that limit of solid and not spectacular, how soon is it before everybody's foot's in his throat?
Aye.
That's my issue with it when it comes to season 2, not just season 1.
Aye, I know what you mean.
If he was to sign, would I be upset about it? No. I mean, again, it's a wee bit like another signing. I think maybe it's a Scottish thing, probably, and it is probably Scottish snobbery amongst ourselves. When you see a Scottish name being potentially linked to the club or being suggested to the club, you almost half turn your nose up a wee bit and you go, well, we've got our own academy to produce Scottish players. And we're not currently doing that right now, so why are we having to go and pinch somebody else's hard work to go and put them in our team so that we can do what we want to go and do? But, I mean, if it happened, again, wouldn't be adverse to it. And again, I think he probably has potential there to be kind of Stephen Whittaker levels of a solid career within Rangers, but without being overly stellar. Or maybe more Stevie Smith than Stevie Whittaker.
Ryan, I don't know if you know this boy, Luke McCowan. I know he's for Dunaway. What's your thoughts on him? Obviously, he's the captain of Dundee. He's playing really well just now. He's been linked with Celtic. Do you think he'd be good enough to do a job for us?
As a Celtic supporter, I kind of know of him. Played against him in a friendly for years and years ago. He was a class above back then as well, but it's guys like me that's playing against him, not into good. But I like him. I do like him. I think he's got a really calm head. What age is he? 20, 25 maybe? 26? I don't know, 100%. Aye. He's got a really calm head and I think he's maturing. I wouldn't say no to him. Definitely wouldn't say no. He's a captain. Dundee's captain for a reason as well. And I think when you watch him play, he always looks for the ball. Can he take a jump up to Rangers? Who knows? But I think Rangers for a long time have turned their nose up at Scottish talent in the league. Like Lewis Ferguson, for example, guys like that. Do you know what I mean? They're begged to play for Rangers, and we've just overlooked them for English players or foreign players all the time. Try to hit the money really. Kind of try to bring foreign players or English players in and try and get that big sell on because Scottish players don't regularly go on for big money.
I will say Lewis Ferguson was one of these raw examples. I think actually for his career, it was better for him to move out of Scotland completely for his own development and go and play in a much better quality league. Otherwise, a wee bit like Billy Gilmore, he would probably never have understood his true potential by staying in Scotland. But that's just a personal point.
I think a lot of players have been lived on with a Scottish players. It's a recurring theme now, innit? And even Shankland was banging goals for everybody before he went to Hearts, and you can't get him, your price at him, unless you go for him next summer. But I personally think if we signed Shankland land January, he'd have won his bread and butter game, so we'd drop the points.
Aye, definitely. You don't need to speak to me about Shankland, mate. Trust me, I've done enough Shankland banging on here, man. Davey, I'm going to come to you. It's a completely different topic, but one more question each, and then we'll wrap up. What's your thoughts? What's your opinion on the ticket allocation for the Hotham game?
My thoughts are that the whole process and how it's played out is a shambles. The SPFL give in far too easily, I think, but we know the guys at the top there in Doncaster and McLenaghan were brought into the game through Peter Lawwell, so they've had a previous relationship before they come in there, and to pay them off from their current contracts, I believe it's 1.6 million collectively to pay because they get 2 years money before they go. So that's never going to change. They're here for the long term as long as they want. I think it's disappointing that us as a club haven't fought back. So for me, that's telling when they come out under Brendan Rodgers in the media last week and made that this is a Rangers issue. Our club has no leadership at the moment, and that really irks me. everything's left for Clement to answer at the press conferences, and I get that we don't have a CEO, but again, John Bennett could do more than speak every 2.5 years to Club TV. That's no good enough when you're the Rangers chairman, and that is a contentious issue. I don't agree with both teams getting the full allocation back, because far too many Rangers season ticket holders now would miss out, and they've had the seats for long enough now. That is their seat. I did agree with the allocation that they had agreed. I'm disappointed we couldn't put the guarantees forward. I know that there was deadlines to meet, and we haven't met them due to the shipments coming in late. That's on us. So we can't really play tit for tat in that scenario. Celtic have decided not to give us it for this fixtures, and the SPFL have said we don't need to return the favour. Disappointing for the fans, they miss out, but I'm disappointed how we've acted as a club on the whole shambles of the stadium, to be honest.
Aye, I'm definitely in agreement with that, mate. Ryan, there's been another question that's come in for you, mate. Who would your starting 11 be against Celtic next Sunday? And a compliment about your tap.
I've had a few there, haven't I?
No.
So I would go Butland, Tavernier, Suter, Proper. It's going to have to be Jeff then. I think Diamand's out for a long time. I would go with flat midfield three of Sterling, Diamandi and Barron. Winger positions, I think Czerny definitely has to start. Dessers, and it's just a lot of that for the left mid. Maybe Matondo, because I think he's got the pace to get in behind. But he just shows it in flashes, doesn't he? But there's a player in it. I think there's a player in it. He just needs coached. So that would probably be my 11 for Celtic Park.
Cortez posted on Instagram today that he was back in training. So
Cortez
I
in.
don't know. I don't. What's that?
Cortez in. Cortez in. Matondo, you're on the bench, mate. Sorry. I don't think you're a player. I was only kidding.
Still in the changing room.
Just in case he was watching. That's not that. I think you're a player, mate.
Mitch, you know your camera's off, aye?
I turned off for a minute. The man was getting a book.
All right, fair enough.
There was nearly a small cameo there.
Curry's asking a question. If we sign somebody before the window closes and come on to play them against Celtic.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Based on current evidence?
Based on current necessity.
Necessity, aye.
I think when I say necessity, I don't mean in terms of raw bodies in the park, and
aye.
I mean more in the necessity freshen the team up completely, because right now there's still so many ghosts of yesterday in the starting 11, and I think to go into the next Old Firm, if we've seen, let's say for argument's sake, Igamani sitting on the bench, we see one player X that we're talking about here, in that starting 11, wherever in the starting 11 they come from, we're not even going to get pedantic about positions. There's a bit of a psychological impact on that where you go, you've never played against this mob before. You don't have the battle scars of yesterday. You don't have that, oh, I didn't play very well last time against you lot. You don't have that. There's no evidence for either side to be sitting saying, well, player X is going to have a howler here, because they've never had that experience. And I think if you can't G up a new signing for a derby game straight off the bat, what are we doing bringing them in? Nah. But that's also because I'm a bit of a sicko though, and I like to throw people in the fire though straight
away. Bryce, cheers for your comment, mate. It's appreciated. Right, so I think we'll wrap up there, lads. Davey, do you want to get on another Rangers podcast, a wee plug, mate?
Oh, no, I appreciate that, mate. If anybody's watching after your own show tomorrow, they'll find us on the YouTube at 8:30 if they want to tune in. Thanks for having us on, mate. Much appreciated.
It's appreciated you coming on, mate. Ryan, solid debut, my man. Good to have you on.
Thanks for having us, lads.
Do you want to let the boys speak?
No. I'm just saying
Ryan, cheers for coming on, mate.
Nah, no bother, mate. I nearly swore to start as well. I started all my words and I was like, oh. So that's nearly. And then I'll need to make sure my dog's not floating about either.
Oh, that's all one. But thanks for coming on. It's appreciated, mate. Mitch, cheers for coming on, mate. It's been emotional as always.
It's been emotional. It's been a pleasure, son. I'm going to greet myself to sleep thinking about you.
Shut up. Right. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow night What days tomorrow? Friday. The guys will
Friday.
be on at 12 o'clock midday with Rangers News tomorrow. I think it's Bob and Derek Cammy it's going to be on. They'll be on to discuss the Rangers News live at 12, and then at 6 o'clock tomorrow night, there's a change. At 6 o'clock tomorrow night, you'll get your preview for Ross County. So tune in, like and subscribe, and remember, every night is Rangers Journal night. Cheers.